Jai Guruji. The divine healer treats the doctor. Even the best of the human beings are capable of nothing more than the great empathy when they see someone in distress. Mahapurushes like Guruji can, however, take on sufferings of others upon themselves to lessen their pain and make their faith sturdy. Dr. Saini's experience with Guruji bear this statement out. The doctor, a specialist in medicine, is not only a first-hand witness to the divine healing power, but also its beneficiary. Spooning out spondylitis. Dr. Saini was in Jalandhar and his house was near Guruji's temple. But he could not have darshan of Mahapurush initially. When he did, it was as if blessings have unendingly started flowing into his life. The doctor's wife, a devotee of Guruji, had cervical spondylitis, which led to severe neck pain. She was being treated with physiotherapy and analgesics. This was towards the end of 1996 and Guruji was in Panchkula. One day, the doctor was with Guruji and the Sangat. Dr. Saini's responsibility was to take a round of the ICU in the evening and he asked Guruji whether he could go to the hospital. Guruji reassured him that all his patients were well, but allowed him to go. When the doctor returned, Guruji said he had cured his wife. The doctor was told that Guruji had applied a spoon. The doctor calls it Guruji's all-in-one gadget. His X-ray machine, echocardiograph, ultrasound and a CT scanner to the back of his devotee's neck. Relief was instantaneous and no other treatment was ever required. Guruji plays Dr. Goodheart. A year later, it was the doctor himself who was treated. By then, Guruji had moved to Chandigarh and the doctor had gone for darshan there. One day, Guruji said that the sole of his foot was paining. The doctor examined it and found that a particular point was tender and promised to bring an analgesic cream the day after. Guruji refused the offer. Dr. Saini, who was by then a senior advisor in the medicine department, told Guruji that the army hospital had recently acquired a new laser therapy machine and requested that he undergo treatment through it. After some time, Guruji came to the door and asked that the laser treatment be given to him for 3 days. The doctor responded that 10 days would help more. At this assertion, Guruji let out what he was up to, telling the doctor that he was really visiting the hospital for the doctor's welfare. What Guruji meant was borne out 2 weeks later. The doctor had chest pain and an ECG showed heart changes. Dr. Saini summoned the hospital cardiologist who advised him to spend time in the ICU, as the heart changes foreshadowed a heart attack. The worried doctor phoned up Guruji from the hospital. Guruji talked to Dr. Saini, prescribing a remedy. When Dr. Saini came out of the ICU, he went to Guruji. Inside his room, the master laid him down on the carpet and passed a clean stainless spoon all over his body. Therefore, the doctor's heart was investigated. At the Army Research and the Referral Hospital at New Delhi, a battery of diagnostic tests, the treadmill, echocardiograph, and the thallium scan reported that his heart was normal. The yearly clinical investigation the Army compulsorily carries out showed he was symptom-free and he never required more treatment. The divine healer had thus treated the doctor by inverting the doctor-patient relationship. Guruji had become his patient for 3 days to take laser treatment and had done away with whatever was afflicting his devotee. A blocked artery opens. The Sadguru's grace extends to even those who are not his devotees. It is as if everyone's suffering is his own. Take the case of Colonel Madan, another specialist in medicine who worked with Dr. Saini. Colonel Madan had been a heart patient for a long time. He had already had a bypass done after a coronary artery had been blocked. But Colonel Madan still experienced chest pain and breathlessness, which was threatening to incapacitate him from the performance of his medical duties. It was also found that the bypass channel too was blocked. This was grave news. Brigadier Saini and General Ahuja and another of the Guruji's devotee advised Colonel Madan to seek Guruji's refuge. And so Colonel Madan went to Guruji. Guruji gave him his blessings through a copper tumbler and also advised him to wear a necklace with a pendant blessed by Guruji in the shape of an Om. Colonel Madan's health started improving immediately. After a few months, when an angiography was done, the results were astonishing. The original or native artery, which the doctors had bypassed, had opened. Dr. Saini met Colonel Madan later in 2003, when he had come to visit Guruji in Empire State. In Guruji's spiritual court, the doctor related the story of his miraculous cure to everybody in sincere thanksgiving to the divine healer who saved him, and a leaking heart wall normalizes. Dr. Saini's wife had suffered rheumatic fever in childhood, and hidden from her and from everybody else, her left or mitral wall had borne the burnt of the fever and was leaking. It was her doctor husband who first suspected her problem. Ever since, she had had a echocardiograph done once every 2 years. In 2003, when Dr. Saini was at the Army Research and Referral Hospital in New Delhi as a consultant, his wife complained of breathlessness while walking. The echocardiograph showed a severe degree of leakage, or what is medically known as mitral regurgitation. She was advised to have heart wall replaced. In the intervening period, she was given medicines to control the symptoms and was told that the drug prescribed, Ramipril, could lead to coughing in the certain cases. One day, the couple was with Guruji when the lady devotee mentioned that she would not take the medicine as it was making her cough. Guruji simply said, "Okay." As they were leaving the Sadguru's room, he said, "I bless your heart." He further advised Dr. Saini to get his wife examined from AIIMS, head of cardiology, Dr. Talwar, to remove any doubt. After Dr. Saini had explained his wife's condition to Dr. Talwar, the doctor took her to the examining room and spent quite some time in the investigation. He came out of the room surprised. He said that since Dr. Saini told him of the condition his wife was suffering from, he had taken his time to check for a damaged left wall. But said the famous doctor, he had found nothing wrong. Guruji's divine blessings on his devotee's heart had worked wonders. Dr. Saini says medical science cannot even dream of doing what Guruji had accomplished with his sparse words. Adamant cancer wilts. In May of 2002, Dr. Saini was diagnosed with a severe type of cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, known for its resistance to treatment. This cancer attacks the endocrine system. The doctor received treatment for 9 months. He did not feel the side effects of the chemotherapy, and as a patient of NHL, his quick response to the treatment surprised even doctors. Evidently, Guruji's blessings were secretly at work. Within a year, the disease went into remission. But in 2004, 3 lymph nodes in his right groin swelled up again. A PET scan showed cancer cells. The glands were operated upon and taken out. The doctor was then advised to go for a bone marrow exam. He prayed to Guruji and the merciful master gave him the date of examination. The doctor feared that if the results came positive, he would have to undergo chemotherapy again for 5 months. However, thanks to Guruji's blessings and the doctor's huge relief, the tests were negative. Sadhguru extends life of dog's mother. Dr. Saini's mother was suffering. She had a carcinoma in her breast, heart disease and a rheumatoid arthritis. By the end of 2000, she was in poor condition. She suddenly collapsed one day and had to be taken to a private hospital. She was in shock. Her heart had stopped and her blood pressure and pulse were barely recordable. While events were unfolding thus at home, Dr. Saini's niece was at the Jalandhar temple. She was weeping silently since she knew her grandmother's life was fading. The omniscient Guru, however, forestalled the grandmother's demise, telling the niece that her grandmother's life had been extended by 5 years. Even as Guruji spoke in the hospital, Dr. Saini's mother showed remarkable signs of recovery, and she lived for 5 more years. The Guru's kripa or grace is extraordinary. It is like God in his mother aspect. Her heart weeps for the misery her children go through. And though they may be good or bad, they may be her devotees or they may be atheists neck deep in materialism, her Shakti, her divine power, rushes to their aid. Medical technicians are blessed. One day in 1998, Guruji informed Dr. Saini that he would be coming in the evening to the military hospital at Chandi Mandir for a blood checkup and ultrasonography. The blood test was done. The technicians and old hand was surprised. He found that even on the repeated examination of the blood sample for blood sugar, the reading was coming to 8 mg to 15 mg. The technician knew this was way below the normal limits and at these levels a man could not survive. He told Dr. Saini that his patient could not be from earth. Guruji blessed the technician and told him that he would be promoted as he subsequently was. A radiologist from Batinda, Major Sinha, was a similar beneficiary of Guruji's grace. The radiologist was on temporary duty at Chandi Mandir when Guruji came in for an ultrasound. Major Sinha did the ultrasound of the abdomen and concluded it was normal. Guruji blessed him, saying he would have 2 sons and would get promoted to the rank of Major General. An uncomprehending major told Guruji he had 1 son and that was sufficient. In 2004, Dr. Saini met Major Sinha at the Research and Referral Hospital in New Delhi. Major Sinha was now Lieutenant Colonel Sinha and was training in nuclear medicine at the Army Hospital. Dr. Saini asked him if he remembered Guruji's blessing. His colleague did. In fact, he told Dr. Saini that at the time Guruji had made his remark, his wife had been told by a gynecologist that she could not have another children. But she had, thanks to Guruji's blessing, saved and saved again. The Sainis were returning to Chandigarh after visiting Guruji in New Delhi. The Delhi-Chandigarh highway was then a one-way road. They had left the Sangat quite late at night and the family was dozing off in the car. Dr. Saini too suddenly fell asleep at the wheel. Their car veered off to the right and onto the path of a truck. His wife's hand brushed his shoulder and the doctor woke up with a jerk. He reflexively turned the car to the left and the truck passed by, missing them by inches. When they were all asleep, who had been awake? Which unblinking eye had seen the truck and who had willed the sleeping wife's hand to move and alert the doctor? The answer was very clear in 2004. Guruji had told Sajal, Dr. Saini's dentist's son, who was posted at Sona, to take furlough from his medical duties. At that time, Sajal used to travel to the bus stop on his scooter and then take the bus to Sona. It was August and the road was wet. Sajal was going home on a scooter and he swore to avoid reversing vehicle only to collide with another. He fell off the scooter. The Sainis meanwhile were with the Guruji and he suddenly asked them where their son was. They told him he was coming home from office. Just then the Saini's phone rang and Sajal's wife told them of the accident. They immediately went home. But Sajal had been saved. He had been carried from the accident spot to the home by helpful uncles. In itself a rarity in Delhi. And he had nothing worse than a few stitches on his nose. From the hospital, he directly went to Guruji in thanksgiving for saving him. Sajal now says that his birthday should henceforth be celebrated on the day Guruji saved him, for he has been granted a new life. Satsang, as narrated, of Dr. Saini, formerly consultant in medicine, Army Research and Referral Hospital, New Delhi. Jai Guruji.